I've got 56 on mine.
It's 4 o'clock. Either apologise or I walk straight away.
Apologies, I'm a minute late, so I should apologise.
Yeah.
But I've got 46 on mine.
46?
That's what I said.
56.
That's what I meant to say, sorry.
So you were late aneway?
Yeah, I was 1 minute late, sorry. I said, sorry, I'm late. I've been a minute,
What have
minute
you
late.
got?
Apologies.
I've got 402.
There you go, look. 57.
I've got 4.
Okay, apologies for being late.
Quigliano not happy.
I rushed down anyway.
It's a
I just wanted
joke.
to make sure it's not a joke.
It's not just...
Warning, 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 warning. 3, 2, 1. The FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Quigliano.
Hi, you're listening to Fantasy Football Tips. It is game week 23. We're in association with Premier Punt, the home of daily fantasy football betting. My name is Mills, and I'm joined in the studio by Quigliano and just about JP. Running a little late today, JP.
Yeah, apologies there. Had to rush down. Very, very busy man. Hurt myself in the process. I'm actually bleeding for the podcast now, physically.
You are actually bleeding.
But I'm okay. It's not too serious for our listeners there. I'll be okay.
That's cheered me up that you've hurt yourself.
But it has cheered you up, and an apology as well.
Because you've delayed us and the listeners.
Slightly, yeah. So I'm sorry.
People in Australia waiting
It's
to
a
hear
few
this.
minutes now. I apologise. I was a couple of minutes late, guys, and I do apologise for that.
Well, it depends whose watch you buy. I mean, yours, you're a minute late, as you're 6-7 minutes late. So
Late is late anyway. in my
Late is
book.
late, exactly. Late is late, and that's the problem.
It's unacceptable.
It is unacceptable.
But you're here now, so...
But I'm here, and I've apologised, so we'll move
So
on.
let's get on with it. So it is game week 23, and game week 22 for most people was a much more profitable affair compared to game week 21. I know myself and Quigliano were handsomely rewarded, weren't we, last week? And some good picks and tips coming in from you last week, Quigliano.
it was sort of, well, it was what we expect from me, really. I mean, you didn't seem that surprised because I do so well at picking these tips, but the Gary of the week was Aguero. Okay, definitely. I'm picking the best player in the game, and he returned with 2 goals and an assist. So nothing to brag about there, but I did captain him. Then obviously, long shot, Wijnaldum. Was it goal and assist?
It was, yeah.
I think it was goal and assist.
Definitely
there.
goal.
Definitely a goal there.
Definitely.
There was an assist on there as well.
I can confirm that. Also tipping there, I'm in Patrick Van Aanholt. Tipped him. Got himself a goal. I did say he wouldn't keep the clean sheet, but I said he might get points from an assist. I tipped Target at Southampton.
I mean, that's massive.
I mean, obviously I was tipping the price and everything else, but he got a clean sheet and an assist. There was some other tips in there, JP. Can you remind me of any of my tips that came in?
Well, I mean, you picked out the best ones. Target was a particularly good one. I'm trying to think of the other ones that you picked.
You mean you've not been hanging on these? Also tipped Kane, goal and assist.
Yeah, Kane. Was there another Tottenham player as well? I could have sworn you picked another.
I mean, you
Tottenham
did between you picked pretty much most of the players in the Premier League. So
yeah, well, I picked Costa, so goal and assist, I do believe. Very happy about that.
Okay, so the pressure's on, gentlemen, this week as we look to reward the listeners. And what sort of anything that really stood out for people though in game week 22? Is there anything there that kind of you're looking at and thinking, I'm surprised
some
by that?
Great things. Mahrez missing a penalty. I mean, that is enough to make anyone's weekend, unless you're the 66% of the population who've got him. I was very happy to see him miss that. I mean, just an assist for Vardy. All these Leicester fans are just starting to weep a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah, and the fixtures, are tough coming up as well, aren't they? So it's not going to get any easier for them, I don't think. And they're in the Cup replay again this week, so that could have knock-on effect for the Premier League next weekend as well.
I mean, I've got nothing against Leicester. I'm glad to see one of the lower-ranked teams performing well. I just haven't got Mahrez or Vardy, so that's why I'm a bit bitter and enjoying seeing them fail a little bit.
And Watford, I mean, JP, one player that you tip every week. Igalo, tip him 3 times.
I say it 3 times in a row. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop doing that now. Reason being, I watched the game last night. Very, very disappointed with Watford last night. I thought they were poor. They are definitely a team that have tailed off. So I'd be tempted to all the listeners out there, get them out your team.
Sell.
Sell. For me, thanks for that. I appreciate that. I would advise people to hang on to Vardy. I still think he looked good against Aston Villa. I watched that game as well. He looked dangerous. Very unlucky to not score. Mahrez as well, maybe not. Maybe there's better choices now. Breaks my heart to say so, but possibly Quigley is right with this one.
Okay.
Oh, no.
And
no.
I mean, some surprise results. So, you know, we touched on that there. Swansea getting a win, much
Yeah.
needed for them, obviously. You know, Southampton looking back in form, beating West Brom 3-0. And they've added Charlie Austin to the squad there. So that might be something we're going to be talking about later on. And Quigliano, I know you touched on a phobia last week as well.
Oh, sorry, that was another tip.
Yeah,
there. Good of you, Mills, to just
like
step
you
up
say,
and tell that
a
one.
big fan of Afobe from your his Wolves days and what you've seen there. Again, so that might be something we're talking about later on. Lots of questions coming up from the fans in the podcast today, and we do have a podcast extra this week as we're back on our normal time schedule. So things feeling well, we would have been if JP had turned up on time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to leave.
I feel the eyes are burning at the moment.
So lots to look forward to in the podcast today. But before we go to a little break, JP, just a word on that cut.
Yeah, it's still bleeding. It's actually probably got worse now. The bruise is starting to come out. But you know what? We soldier through. Like I say, the podcast is more important than any wound. So
Really?
I would say
Any
so.
wound.
Yes. That's my opinion. It's that important.
I'm no comment on that.
Okay. But anyway, I'm soldiering. I'll
It's
be
a
fine.
family show.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Well, you can spin your dirty mind on that however you want, Quigliano. But the humble fellow listeners will agree with
Okay.
What was dirty about what I was thinking?
Well, we'll leave that up to the listeners to decide.
So will you just come up straight out and attack me? What did you think that I was thinking about?
I have got too much decorum to mention on
Too
the
much
podcast.
decorum? Not sure about that.
Okay, we'll be back straight after this with some actual tips.
You are listening to Mills and Quigliano on the FantasyFootballTips.co podcast. Sponsored by Premier Punt. All your fantasy Premier League tips in one juicy little podcast. Get in touch at www.fantasyfootballtips.co.
Okay, so the jury's still out on decorum. I think that was okay,
I think it
JP.
worked. I think it worked.
I'm not so sure about that cut though. That doesn't look that bad to me, and you've doing a lot of moaning about that.
It's just the location. It's on the shin and it's a bit of a stinger.
Okay, so this is game week 23, as we said, and we've got a little break after this week as the FA Cup returns. Fourth round, yes. It's better than an international break, though, isn't it?
Yes, it's better.
Just
than
about.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you don't have to watch England play.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Quigliano, I'm coming straight to you for the Gary of the week. And last week, obviously, as we said, very good return. Hoping for the same this week.
Well, this week we're going for the forgotten man. May have been transferred out of a few teams, but I'm going Lukaku this week for the Gary of the week. I believe that was a full storm at Swansea. You know I already think Leicester aren't much. So the fact that they beat Swansea beat them, doesn't really prove anything. I think Lukaku
Beat
will.
Watford.
Beat Leicester.
Sorry. Swansea, because I was referring to Swansea, beat Leicester. I think that's the full storm. Nothing is really going to be resolved from that. Lukaku will go there, and he will be the guaranteed performer. The Gary Busey.
Okay, so it's at Goodison Park actually. So so Swansea, you think?
Well, you're trying to pick me up on things. Come
No,
on.
I just want to clarify that. So, but Everton, I agree. I think high scoring fixtures, lots of high scoring fixtures. I'm just not so convinced he's a Gary.
Well, you're wrong.
This is the man that tips Van Aanholt and then he scores. So to be fair, we'll go with that. Quigliano.
I like the tip, actually.
I think okay. So Lukaku to return to form.
I like it.
Okay, the Xabi Alonso.
The long shot. So if you've got the stomach for it, and we've talked about them already, a phobia. I mean, Sunderland let in 4. They are no great team. I'm backing a phobia to get another goal and continue that little march. And people are going to go say, well, actually, he's Premier League quality. So there you go. Is that heart over head? Maybe, I'm not sure.
I don't know, maybe, but you tipped him last week and it came in. So
I love it. And if you've got a Garlo, that might be the trade you could do there. You could do a Garlo for a phobia. And I like that. A phobia. I quite like
Just
that
twice,
idea.
not 3.
Twice for now. We'll see how he gets on, and it may become 3.
Okay.
I think
So
Igalo might get a bit jealous of that he doesn't get.
He might. You know, he has to bounce back in it himself. Hopefully, it might return.
So you think so? Igalo with Watford, they've got Newcastle at home this week. Are you actually saying you would drop Igalo for Ifobi? Surely not.
Depends on.
This is a long shot.
Yeah, it is a long shot. It depends where you are in your league position with friends. If people have got Igalo, it might be a differential. But other than that, maybe not.
I think Newcastle have turned a corner. I would be looking to get. Well, we'll talk about some side tips later, but I think Newcastle have turned that corner. So let's move on to the deal here. Jay Pizzle.
Yeah, Delia, we spoke about him already. We're going to go with Mahrez. First of all, he broke my heart this weekend, missing another penalty.
I thought it was that love letter you'd wrote him. Has he not responded?
And that. That's obviously, added to the wound.
Yeah.
But no.
He's going there.
No, listen.
I'm
going there again. No, listen. He's missed 2 penalties. His points have dried up. I know he's a great player. He needs to turn up. He's got Stoke. Tough game. They keep clean sheets. This is the chance for him to prove himself again. Mahrez this week.
Must be having, yeah.
Okay, and I'm not going to argue with that at all. Let's move on to some side tips then, gentlemen.
I mean, I thought JP might have said thanks again, Quigliano, for letting me do the dealie, but no, it doesn't matter.
I'll thank him later, actually, but okay.
Oh, well, that sounds a bit creepy, but...
Has that wound dried up, by the way?
I am going... Can we have a bit of decorum, please?
Oh.
Good use of the word.
See, I think that's better. Can we have some decorum rather than it's something you have? That's my own opinion. Listeners, get in touch with us, any English teachers out there. We're going Leighton Baines. Return a good FPL player, somebody who gets forward, gets into the box as well. Penalties, I mean, I'm not sure whether Lukaku, has he got the penalties down at
No, I think it will go back to Baines, yeah.
So we've got options there, and as you say, they're attacking teams, so there's a chance of some points there. Swansea are no great team either. It could be a clean sheet with something else there, so definitely an option.
I mean, just on that as well, Swansea in that game, I know, JP, I think you saw it, didn't you? They didn't play a striker, did they?
No.
They had no striker on the pitch until the last maybe 10 minutes of the game. So against Everton, it's going to be difficult for them to do that. But Everton have been a bit sort of Jekyll and Hyde in defence. They go 1 week where they might concede, 1 or maybe none, and then the following week it's 3 or 4. So you never quite know what you're getting defensively, which would be my only concern with an expensive defender. But let's move on.
Well, the other option there is that is it? I can't pronounce his name. Is it Funes Mori?
Yes.
Has he got a couple of goals now?
Yeah, he has had a few goals. Yeah.
Another sort of tip there. If you might maybe thinking I can't get Baines in, there might be another option. But again, you're probably doing it more on the attack and returns than you are for the clean sheet potential. Cheapy. Another option is Target. Tipped last week.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh.
Sorry, I think I was just a sniper. Just took out my vocal cords. Target 3.7. I think that's worth reinvesting in just to allow you to get some more expensive players in. Even if he rots as your last sub at 3.7, I don't see how you can't get him in. And he's returned some good points. And they've actually kept a couple of clean sheets now. So how he would get dropped from that, I don't know. Wijnaldum, Quigliano favourite. I think he's a quality player. I think Shelvey there gives him a new lease of life. He's playing back sort of behind, in the centre, behind the striker, which for somebody who's attack-minded as he is, I think he's got points in him. Aguero, you just got to be tipped. If you haven't, get him before it's too late, before your season's over. Eriksen, not been a long time since I've tipped Eriksen. He is an explosive player and someone who goes on these little runs, potentially somebody worthwhile getting in your team. And also, this is going to be an unpopular one, justly so, Moreno. I think Moreno at Liverpool is somebody who potentially is going to burst onto the scene. He looks class under Klopp, gets forward a lot more than before. I mean, he's quite attack-minded. I know they don't keep clean sheets, but they go to Norwich, who I think are useless. I think Liverpool are going to do well this weekend. That's my gut feeling. So if I was being risky as well, I might even say Firmino.
Okay, I mean, I'll certainly back up the Moreno shout. The amount of times he pops up in the box or just outside the box, it amazes me that he hasn't got any more assists or goals to his game this season.
I mean, that's why he's in my team. I am thinking of cutting my own right leg off to send to him to say, at least there you go. It might not be the best right leg in the world, but you could try using it. Because he could have scored against Arsenal if he had that right foot.
Okay, and JP, you grimaced as Quigliano said Firmino. Is that because you would disagree, or is that because you were going to say him yourself?
Strongly agree, and was going to say Firmino. That was going to be my first side tip. Absolutely, I think they're going to do well against Norwich. You could even put someone like Lallana or Coutinho in if you wanted a differential within.
Is he back, Coutinho?
Not to my
I think
knowledge.
he is. I thought he was
might
back
be
this weekend. That's why I did actually check that. I think he is.
Again, it's a very definite answer there.
Lallana definitely is another shout anyway.
Okay,
So,
I mean, Firmino, he looks like he's going to be the one to play up front, doesn't he? Benteke has been dropped for the last couple of games to the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And Firmino, I mean, he's done well, hasn't he? It was a tough game against United, but before that, he was looking really good.
Yep,
So
absolutely. So a good option there. I've recently put Glenn Johnson in my team, and he's scoring a lot of points at the moment. Stoke very good defensively, and he likes to get forward. He's another kind of fullback that you almost see playing as a right midfielder at times. So he could be a nice option to put in your team. He got 8 points this week.
They've got Leicester who aren't great either.
They do, who aren't currently scoring that many goals, so there's a possibility there. So
would you rather see Glenn Johnson clean sheet or a Mahrez goal?
That's an excellent question. A Mahrez goal.
why? 66% of players have got him. 66% of players have not got Johnson.
I know, but I really like Mahrez. I like him.
Is that
love letter's
And,
coming out again.
and you're forgetting something.
Did you include that photo?
He is my dealer, so if he does score, we can refer to that, you see. So,
Are you going to get a reply from him on Twitter? He's not replied to your love letter. So when we shout out to Mahrez and say, you're our dealer, you've got the dealer award, are we going to get a reply? Joleon Lescott was having none of it.
I would be surprised if he didn't reply. If he did not reply, I'd be surprised.
Smalling, did you tweet Chris Smalling? That was last week.
I didn't send one to Chris.
Clean sheet for Chris Smalling.
Well, there you go. So my dealer came in.
Okay, right, gentlemen, I've got a couple of questions for you this week from the fans, and we're going to go to Twitter first of all. Some high caliber fans and followers on Twitter, and this one comes from Derek, and Derek wants to know. He's saying £6.5 million he's got to spend on his sub. We're talking fancy Premier League. Excluding Dele Alli, he wants to know, is Henderson a good option or are there better? He says that Henderson reminds him of a cut price Aaron Ramsey.
I think last season maybe. I don't think he's shown much to merit that sort of comparison this season. JP, do you want us to take this one or do you want to let...
We can do it together if needs to be. I mean, first thing I will say is
he's a walking nightmare, isn't he?
Yeah.
Go on.
You know, it's the way it should be. First of all, clean sheet wise, I think it's limited with Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp plays very attacking, high pressure football, which is admirable, but does leave them vulnerable to the counter attack. So in terms of clean sheets, not so much. And really, he hasn't had that many assists this season. So I wouldn't be going near Henderson if I'm being honest, personally.
I mean, Wijnaldum, side tip. I mean, he's 6.9. There's a definite option there.
Yeah, Payet.
Payet, potentially, the returning Payet is a little bit more, I think, just not much.
Slightly.
Maybe, I forgot to mention this, and this was going to be actually a side tip. I do fancy Stoke to do well this weekend, and Arnautovic is an option there, because I was almost going to tip Bojan, but I thought that was too risky. So I'd be looking at Arnautovic, Wijnaldum as my, if you're not going to go for that Dele Alli option. Next question.
Okay, yeah, lots there. So, we're going to Eddie Ferdous next, and he wants to know...
I knew he'd be in touch, what a guy.
You knew he would. Will Targett retain his position, and how will Austin fit into Southampton's gameplay? 2 cheeky questions there.
Oh, he's stolen one.
He has. We'll answer both.
Well, I am really fascinated myself to see how Austin fits in with Pella playing in that squad. I mean, he can't play both of them.
Well, Pella's not been playing though, has it?
That's exactly what I was about to say. Those two can't play in the same system, so he must be buying Austin as almost, I'm going to say it, maybe a replacement for Pella. Has something gone on there? I don't know. Has he lost his form? I could see Austin getting in that team pretty quick.
£7 million. It's a lot.
Potentially. I think if I'm Shane Long, I'm going to be a bit annoyed that if he was to walk in. So I don't think they'd do that. I think he's going to have to sit on the bench and buy his time. So I won't be rushing to put Charlie Austin in my team.
Okay, so what about Matt Targett then? Is he going to retain his place? Because Koeman's kind of changed the system a little bit, hasn't he, with his defensive setup?
Well, I've sort of referred to that in the side tip, and I've kind of already answered it, haven't I? I don't think he can drop him anyway at the minute. because they've had 2 clean sheets. So, yes, I think he'll keep his place. That it's no gamble at 3.7 million. Even if he doesn't play, like, it's not a gamble. Just stick your neck out, get him in. Especially if you're playing a wild card, you're looking to totally reinvent your team, aren't you? And players like that, like a cheap second keeper, a cheap 5th defender, then get amongst it.
Exactly that. With a player like that, he's so cheap that actually you could start him and have a decent defender on the bench, and even if he doesn't play, you'll get your the bench's points. So
the only negative possibly is that they're going to Old Trafford, and maybe the clean sheet's at risk.
Yeah.
Although having said that, they're hardly prolific.
Okay, and this question comes in from Stephen Carty, and this is on the email, premium member, so hello Stephen and thank you. And he says, hello again chaps, he's been in touch before. In recent weeks, Ighalo's cooled off. As a result, I'm thinking about replacing him, and this kind of fits in with the Charlie Austin question again. Are there any reasonably priced strikers who you would recommend at this stage? He's already got Aguero and Kane, so he's looking for someone who isn't too expensive but fits in. He says he thinks about Charlie Austin, but is it too soon? Again, he's not sure if he's going to play every week. So, excluding Charlie Austin, because we've just discussed him, where else are we looking?
I mean, long shot. I mean, JP's just pointing it out to me. A Phobie is an option. I think similar price to Ighalo. I mentioned him name not but 2 minutes ago. Bojan, or Boyan, as my friend likes to pronounce that, thinking he's Spanish. He's an option at Stoke. It's probably a bit of a knock. I mean, Jermaine Defoe, old school friend of the podcast, he is another option there. Jay Pizzle.
Absolutely agree. Definitely, I think that all of those are better options than Austin at this stage. So I'd be tempted.
Not Austin. The swapping Ighalo out.
But he said for Austin, did he say? Was that?
No, he's looking at putting someone else in.
Apologies.
So Austin was one of the options.
Option was one of the options. I would say that a Phobie is the one I'd lean towards at this stage.
Okay, so gentlemen, we're getting to that stage in the podcast where we're almost going to go into podcast extra. It's been a pleasure today, and JP, if anyone wants to know, we've done competitions before, haven't we, on what JP looks like? Mm-hmm. If anyone really wants to get a good sense of what JP looks like, there's a TV programme on at the moment that I'm watching. I'm a big fan of. It's called The Nick. It's on Sky Atlantic, sorry.
Was that a swear word almost?
The Nick.
Sky
Atlantic. I was going to say Sky Atlantis.
I thought you put a T on the end.
No, Sky Atlantic.
I thought that was that late night show you watched.
Dr. Bertram. So just Google image Dr. Bertram. You'll get a real sense of JP. JP in the 1900s.
It's pretty good. It's fairly close.
It's close, isn't it?
It's fairly close.
Okay. So how's that cut looking, JP?
Let's have a look. And actually looks. It's beginning to scab.
Clotting, I would say, rather than scab.
Yeah, clotting. Yeah, we'll see it in the morning. We'll see how it's done. Hopefully, it'll be okay.
No trip to A&E.
Fingers crossed. No.
Okay. Coming up after this in the podcast extra, we're going to be talking captain tips and probably a bit more nonsense as well.
And JP's blood type. So
yeah, so
maybe get some donors from the premium.
If you need to know that,
I actually don't know that. I have to find that out.
You don't know your blood type.
I don't know my blood type.
I've got a letter from your doctor actually. It's Quigliano, official announcement. I'd like to apologise to JP for my inappropriate comment that you're not allowed to hear.
Oh, is that? Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
I mean, nothing against, anyway.
That's extreme. That's really extreme.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
What is Quigliano doing?
Well, a bit of bants, bit of light-hearted
Why
bants.
did it come to you?
Why did what come to me?
That letter come to you? Were you involved in that?
Sorry, I was round your house. I shouldn't say that either. It's going to get more inappropriate again, but JP does live at home for listeners.
Anyway.
His parents.
Oh dear.
Parents, actually.
It's
a
all
sore spot, but...
I don't know what's happened here. Right, if you do want to listen to the rest of the podcast, we're going into podcast extra now. You need to be a premium member. You can do that at fantasyfootballtips.co/register. There's a 14-day free trial, so you've got nothing to lose. You can get it for £1.50 a month or £9 a year. Absolute bargain. I've been Mills, Quigliano has been with me, and JP and his bleeding leg has as well. We'll see you in podcast extra.
Warning, 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 warning. 3, 2, 1. The FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Quigliano.